And I sat down and said, what do I actually do? Yeah, I sell pickles. What do I do? I make people happy. This brand makes people happy. The experience makes people happy.
Okay, you guys, welcome back to What's Your Spark? Today's conversation is about transformation, the kind that asks you to trust yourself even when the path changes. Our guest is someone who built a name in fashion and then had the courage to pivot into something completely different and found purpose in the process. Please welcome Scott Kaylin. How are you today?
I am wonderful. So excited.
I am so glad that you're here. We've been talking about this for quite
for
a
a
while.
while.
And now we're finally getting to sit across from each other, which I'm just so grateful for. And we're twins.
Me
We're
too.
twins
Of
today.
course.
We got our pickles on and our jeans and of course, our Nikes, as always. Oh, and your socks, of course. Oh, you got new ones. I like those. I wear the socks every week too. No, you could ask Dana. Truly, I'm always.
Well,
in
it's
the
kind of
sweater.
about this whole story, how you're actually looking at the fashion that I do and the fact that I'm actually a pickle man. Right
Yes. You combine best of both worlds, which I love.
100%.
But before we get to that part, I want to
Yeah.
start at the beginning. So before the titles, before the brands and all of that, who were you growing up? What were you like as a kid? And what first sparked your creativity?
I was always very outgoing. I was a big athlete.
Okay.
Um,
Can tell.
I was, fortunately or unfortunately, very about instant gratification. So I wasn't a great student
Okay, I understand
in
that.
school.
Yeah.
I didn't see what the process would get me if it wasn't right in front of me and immediate.
Mhm.
I mean, my parents would go in for a parent-teacher conference and the teacher would be like, I can't fail him.
Oh, okay.
I can't, because participation in class,
Mhm.
100,
Yeah.
test score, 60.
Yeah, I get that.
Because I could memorize every single commercial and
Mhm.
couldn't remember something for a test.
Mhm.
So I was more about always being in the moment.
Okay.
I
It's a beautiful trait and quality to have.
I know this is jumping ahead a little, but I'll share
Mhm.
one thing. I
Sure.
think when I turned 40,
Mhm.
it's the first time I kind of looked in the mirror and said, you know what? Part of me is shallow,
Okay.
okay? But it's not who I am.
Okay.
And I was that instant gratification and that not wanting to wait on a line and liking to be the center of attention was only a very, very, very small part of who I was.
Mhm.
And I think that transcended from when I was very young. And I realized I was philanthropic. I was a good dad. I was a good friend. I had a really big heart.
Mhm.
I was a giver. My
Yeah.
entire personality is about being a giver. And when I could look in the mirror and say, you know what? Part of me shallow. It's okay. And I can accept that,
Yeah.
but it doesn't dictate who I am as a person. I became the best part of who I am
Oh, that's great.
doing that. But I think it started as a kid. I
Mhm.
was 6 feet tall at 13 and I never slouched.
Yes,
Ever
good. You hear that?
slouched.
Stand up straight, everybody.
Ever slouched.
Me either.
Yeah. So I was very outgoing and loved the social aspect of life. Yeah, I mean, that was me as if my grandfather said to my mom, because I was the youngest of three, don't worry about him.
Oh, I love
Don't
that.
worry
He's gonna
about
be
him.
fine.
He's going to be fine.
Yeah.
As they say, he dances to a different drummer. And
Yes.
yeah, that was me young.
I love that. My nana used to tell me that. She's like, Jordan, don't ever hunch over, because I was
Yeah, I
much
get it.
taller than all the boys and all the girls in my classes. And your instinct is to kind of try to blend in, but she was like,
Never.
nope, don't do it. And so I'm always like, even today, I'm always trying to stand up straight.
I love it.
But what sparked your creativity then? Were you always like, did like drawing? Were you coloring? I know you said
It
sports,
was
but
fashion.
okay, yeah. So
was
when
fashion.
did you figure that
So
part
I
out?
grew up, my dad was in the garment center. So I
Okay,
grew up
yeah.
around that.
Mhm.
I don't know. My mom, one of my happiest moments, my mom would go shopping
Mhm.
and she would take me with her as a little kid as a promise to go out to lunch.
Oh, I love that.
It was
Okay.
always
Yes.
about the food. Always about the
Always
food.
come on.
And I would spend days with her, and I loved that. I loved being with my mom and we would go, back then it was like Bloomingdale's and Macy's and we would go shopping. We'd spend the day. So I saw it. And then my dad was one of those people also. He started pushing a broom and ended up buying the company that he pushed the broom for
Wow.
in the fashion
Wow.
industry. So I'd always been around that.
Mhm.
And the interesting thing is, as much as I loved sports and I played sports, played tons of sports. I was super active. On a Sunday, I'd rather go get a manicure and a pedicure
I
and
love
go
that.
shopping.
Oh my gosh, you and my dad would be great friends. Like he was athletic too, but my dad loves he loves to be pampered, you know?
I worked in a gas station with manicured nails when I was 17 years old.
He was just like, and somebody questioned me about it. What are you gonna say?
Exactly.
That's awesome. So was when you were creating and stuff and you fell in love with it, did it become kind of like an escape, or was it an expression, or was it identity? Like,
God, no one's ever asked me that before. I have to really,
yes,
have to really
yes.
think about that. It was just innate. It was part of who I was.
Okay.
I've always thought out of the box in every aspect of my life. So it wasn't like I was creating fashion trends,
Sure.
but I was cognizant of what was happening, and I just loved clothes.
Mhm.
And which was an interesting mix, being such like an athlete in the time and period that I grew up in.
Yeah.
It's very different now.
Right. Yes.
Definitely very different now. But my creativity was always a thought process. I always tried to do things differently than anyone else. I tried to find the path that was not the norm.
Mhm.
And I think that's the biggest part of my creativity. And what's taken me into everything that I've done in my life
Mhm.
is saying, one, and my kids always say this, I have an idea and I do it.
I love that.
Like people don't do it. Everybody has ideas.
Yeah.
So as a multitasker, and that started very young too, if I have to do one thing, I have a problem with it. If I have 75 things going on at once, that's my happy place.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
feel more like comfortable in the chaos, which is
100%.
lovely. Yeah.
Pure chaos is my happy place.
I get that. Sometimes I like my life is so busy and so crazy and I have such a full plate, but
Right.
at the same time, when I have a moment to just like when there's not anything, it feels weird.
It's
It
hard.
feels
It's hard.
like against my nature. I'm like, I need to be doing
I
something.
agree.
Although I know rest is very important, but I thrive in like a pressure-filled
Me too.
environment.
Me
So I
too.
definitely relate to that. So for the audience, can you tell us of the fashion line, the name? And you said you go against the norm. So what was that for you?
So I was in the fashion industry for 30 years
Mhm.
in New York. Two very different sections. My very first job. So it's funny. I went to a community college for one semester, and it was the first time that no one cared if I succeeded. The teachers didn't care if I showed up. My parents weren't sitting there, what are your grades?
Yep. Mhm.
And it was the best I ever did, actually.
No pressure, you know?
My first semester, I got like a 3.8, but it still wasn't, I wanted to work.
You wanted
I
more.
wanted more than school.
Mhm.
So I went, and my very first job in the garment industry, I took for no pay. And I went into a production place where they did marking and grading and made patterns.
Okay.
So they would like jigsaw puzzles for everybody out there. When you have your clothes, each piece of your clothes and every garment has a separate pattern piece. So that's what this place did. They made the patterns and then they made the markers where they cut the fabric out of. And I went up there and I said, I want to learn. And I took a job for no pay. And I said to the guy, I said, you pay me when you think I deserve to be paid.
I love
Because I
that.
wanted to learn.
I love how much
I
you
was living at
believed in
home. I
yourself
was living
too.
at home. 2 weeks,
Yeah.
I started getting paid.
Yes. Yes.
So I've only worked for 4 people in my entire career. So obviously selling is a big part.
Mhm.
That was my personality. So I started working for a guy who I worked for a couple of different designers, and then I kind of wanted to do my own thing, and I found someone who had a factory in New York. At the time, they still had that.
Okay.
And I opened basically a selling company. And this guy financed everything, made the production. And that was my very first business. I was 24.
I love that.
So I ended up from there eventually graduating to opening what they call a sourcing company.
Okay.
So we had an office in Hong Kong, and we were the middleman between retailers and manufacturers and designers to find production, almost all specifically in women's apparel. And that business grew pretty substantially. So at a very young age, I had a very large business. And for most entrepreneurs, because I was a true entrepreneur, unfortunately, no one hears about this side. Almost every entrepreneur goes broke at one point.
Okay. Yes.
It's just true.
Mhm.
We built up a very sizable business. I mean, we merged with another similar type of business, and I, at the age of 30, had a $50 million company
Wow.
that
Wow.
lost money after the first year.
Okay. Okay. That's quite a jump.
Well, when you go from having a very small, successful business, and all of a sudden I'm sitting with, 300 employees, and my office is bigger. My personal office is bigger than what my entire office was for my company. And I have COOs and
Wow.
CFOs, and we're Women's Wear Daily, which is the paper for the fashion industry, double page ad about our company, and we're like flying high. But I was a kid and I didn't know what I was doing.
Mm.
And my business partner that we merged with didn't quite tell us all the things that we were supposed to know from their
Okay.
side. And that business went belly up.
Okay.
And I lost everything. I had 2 kids, about $25 in my pocket, personal
Wow.
bankruptcy. I mean, I went through it. And even at that point, because I had been so successful to that point, the thought of going to work for someone was crushing to me. And
Yeah, you can't do it.
I was offered like huge jobs.
Mhm.
And I just, and
It's like sandpaper, like it
one of
rubbed
the
against you.
customers we had reached out to. So I had an original business partner in my first one, and then the third partner, obviously, that caused all this was gone.
Mhm.
And this guy turned around to us and said, look, he goes, I'll finance you, work for me to keep going and doing what you're doing the right way.
Okay.
And we did that for a year and a half and ended up buying him out.
Wow.
Yeah. So we
Okay.
built back up again this sourcing business, and it was great. Worked hard. It was amazing fun. And then what changed everything. So my business partner lived in Hong Kong,
Mhm.
and he was, well, I guess part of my own personal transformation. So I've been fit most of my life, except for 3 years of my life.
Okay.
After my wife had her first child, and I weighed almost
Everything
300. I
shifts.
weighed almost 300 pounds.
Man.
I had a 45-inch waist. I mean, and as an athlete, I mean, it was horrible.
You're like, how did I get here?
And I went to Hong Kong quite often, and I took my first spin class actually
Okay.
in Hong Kong. And it was like in the cartoons, like I saw characters around my head because I was dying afterwards. And I said to my partner, I said, next time I come back here, I'm going to kick that instructor's ass.
Yes.
And I went back and I started spinning, and I lost all the weight, and I started cycling, and my business partner was a big cyclist in Hong Kong. And he called me up and he said, I was going on this trip and I couldn't find an easy way to order cycling apparel, like custom cycling apparel.
Okay.
He goes, so I kind of have this idea. So I want to do custom cycling apparel.
Why not?
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about this.
Sure.
And one of my dear friends in New York owned one of the largest cycling stores. So I went in there and I said to him, we want to try to work on this. So I would get all the best product from his store and send it over to Lewis in Hong Kong. And he would start creating samples. And this went on for probably almost 8 months. And he calls me
Okay.
up one day, and everything I've ever done since I've known this gentleman, we've done together. And he calls me up. He goes, look, I'm tired of playing around with this. I want to open a business.
Let's do it.
He goes, I ordered a printing machine. I'm like, how much is a printing machine? He's like $150,000.
Oh my God.
He goes, if you want to do this, you and Maury open up a company in the US, and I'm going to do this. If not, I'm doing it without you.
Yeah.
So I called up Maury and I said, do you want to do this? And he said, yes. So that turned into, I call it my BlackBerry of custom technical apparel. So we revolutionized an entire business based on creativity and thinking out of the box.
Yeah.
So I'll give you just a few examples. So cycling apparel, before we did it, minimums were 30 to 50 pieces per size.
Okay.
So, and they were only screen printed. So an extra small had the same size printing as a 3X.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there was no differential. So the minimums were huge. Every cycling, you'll notice this, even if you know nothing about cycling, if you ever see somebody, they used to have a giant white zipper.
Yeah.
Through the middle of a jersey.
Uh-huh.
Now, a cycling jersey is a billboard.
Yes.
That's where all your sponsors go. So we made dresses, we made women's apparel. So we were like, why don't we put a concealed zipper in the front of the jersey, and then you can print across the whole thing. Plus we would do that machine that he ordered was digital sublimation. So
What does that mean?
digital sublimation, so screen print,
Mm-hmm.
you make a screen, you put it on. Digital sublimation, you design
Mm-hmm.
whatever the design is. It goes on a piece of paper, it goes through a machine, it attaches to the piece of paper, and then when it's heated and you put it through the garment, it sucks the ink off the paper and it gets
Ooh,
embedded into
into
the
the
fabric. It doesn't
fabric.
crack. It stays like
Smart.
that forever.
Yeah, because the other ones, it would just be printed and can peel
And it's
and
unlimited colors.
oh,
So there was no limit to the design. So
yeah.
we were making cycling apparel out of that. We put in the concealed zipper. We went from having 500 customers the first year to 10,000 the second year. Now, 10,000 customers is not 10,000 people. That's 10,000 teams.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people overnight. So yeah, that was another thing from ground up. We were the first people to ever make actual women's cycling apparel
Wow.
because most women that raced had to
Mhm.
use men's extra
Yeah.
small.
Yeah.
Now, a woman's body is different than
Different.
a man's
Yep.
body.
Mm-hmm.
So we again took what we did. So that was a crazy wild ride.
Congratulations to you guys at that time. That's
Yes.
amazing.
And then I'll give you another interesting thing that
Okay.
happened through my business. We got, and I'll send this out again to all the entrepreneurs. This was, and I never regret anything. This was the only mistake, the true mistake we made. We grew quickly. We
Mhm.
got a chance to present to Wall Street, basically.
Wow.
And we got all these people that wanted to come in and invest in the business. And we sat down and said, if we just do another X, we can get 10 times what we're doing.
Mhm.
So we didn't take in the investment. And then the industry changed overnight.
Oh no.
So the
Don't you hate
barrier
it
of
when
that
it does that?
$150,000 machine you could buy for $5,000 and put it in your garage. So all of a sudden we had 20 competitors, we had 300 competitors
Oh
overnight.
my
There
God.
was another lesson learned in what
Yeah.
I did. Again, thinking out of the box, doing things differently was fun. And that was my whole ride in the fashion industry.
Wow. Like my brain is like going to explode. That's crazy. But I understand the feeling of things changing overnight because when I won American Idol, we were the first season to put our songs that we were performing on the show on iTunes. So we would
Oh, I
record
didn't
them
know
on Monday,
that.
and then after the show, our full-length versions of the songs would go
Out.
up the next day. And it was just crazy because then I put out my album and CDs were still being sold. And like by 2 years later, the amount of CDs that were being purchased were so different because the digital age
Oh,
finally
so you were
came
right
in.
there.
And I was just like, no one's buying CDs. Like, what is this? But it's shifted so much. So that overnight just change, it's so crazy because it seems like it builds for a long time behind the scenes, but then once it goes, it's
Nobody
just,
sees that. The public
yeah.
doesn't see that in any industry.
Mhm.
You know, especially these days, you see so many young people. They just came out with the Forbes list of all these billionaires that are under 30.
I'm like,
And,
what? Where?
you know, but
How? I want
you
to know
don't hear
my
you don't hear the whole story either.
Exactly. No, it's definitely so wild. When that part happened, I mean, you said that you didn't regret. So I was going to ask this question, but I don't think I should ask it because you don't regret anything. So that's great.
I
But
really don't.
I don't either, to be honest. It got me. It got me to this point. Everything that I've done has got me to this point, and I wouldn't
You know
change
what?
it.
I think that's a crucial thing with anyone you meet to
Mhm.
be cognizant of that.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes even in a relationship, you know, some people are like, "Oh, your history is so bad." That history made me the person that you want to be with.
Exactly.
So whatever that was, that
Mhm.
was just part of my journey.
Mhm.
You know, and that's in business, personal, whatever you do takes you to where you are
Yeah.
that day.
Yeah. I think it's living there in the regret is the trap.
Very much so. You
Staying
can't.
stuck there. Like you can think about it and be like, man, ooh, like, I still can cringe about it, but I don't regret
So
it.
learn from it and that's
Yeah.
it. Move on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, oh man, I love that. Okay, so sometimes life gently nudges us, and then other times it completely reroutes us. So, what led to your transition out of fashion?
This is where it gets fun.
Eee! Okay, ready. Let us know.
All right. So my wife
Hmm.
is probably one of the top 3 experts in the world on bras.
Really?
Yes. So
I'm gonna need to talk to her.
So,
I
so
need
my
to talk to her.
house is now pickles and tatas.
It doesn't sound too bad.
That should
actually.
be a podcast.
That
The
should.
pickles and
It
tatas. Oh my God. So we were living in New York.
Uh-huh.
She had a very, very, very successful corporate career. Victoria's Secret, Under Armour. She was the first female global vice president for Uniqlo. I mean,
Wow.
yeah, serious baller.
Shout out to her. I
Oh, yeah.
definitely want to sit with her.
Big
She should
time.
come on the podcast
She
too.
should,
Okay.
big time. And she's Canadian, so she got offered her dream job. She was interviewing to run all the product for Lululemon.
Wow. Okay.
So I went up with her to Vancouver. I'd never been there before on I think it was her 5th round of interviews, the final one. And I spent the day by myself in Vancouver. And the 3 things that embody me, my entire life, is eating, drinking, and being active.
I love Vancouver.
That's
exactly.
it. And that's Vancouver.
Exactly. Yes.
It is. I spent the day there by myself, spoke to some people, and it is just, I've never seen so many fit people that eat and drink so much.
Yes.
And never talk about what they do for a living. It's not part of the conversation.
that,
It's
yeah.
what you do, however you made your money and how small or large amount that is. What do you do when you're not working? And I experienced that all in a day. And I'm like, so she came out of this interview and I'm like, if you get the job, take it. She's like, we have our house. The kids are just leaving the house.
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? We won't sell the house. If we don't like it, we'll go back.
Yeah.
You know, I love this place.
Yes. I've always had that mindset too. Like, you can always go back.
And she took the job and we moved to Vancouver and I became my best and happiest person.
I love that.
So that cycling apparel business was quite large. It had offices in 22 countries. There were 2 factories involved in it. I had an office in Toronto. I closed it. I opened it up in Vancouver. And I'm loving life. Sometimes you don't realize how much you love and consume something until you can't have it.
Oh, okay. What was that?
Pickles.
Yes.
I couldn't find a pickle I would put across my lips. And I really started thinking about the fact how many pickles I ate my whole life, that my refrigerator was always full of pickles.
Always stocked.
And I was never about the store brands. I was about the farmer's market people that did some interesting things. And so it became this funny thing. And I would hear some of the place had a good pickle. They were famous for it. So on the weekends we would go and try these pickles. And they were horrible. And I even heard about a place.
They were just cucumbers with
horrible.
salt.
You know, you held the spear up and it fell over. I mean, it was just horrible. Even to the point we heard there was a place in Pike's Market in Seattle. We did a day trip. Horrible. So I came home and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to bring pickles from New York. And she's like, oh shit,
Here we go.
There are lots of different things I've done in between the 2 things that we talked about that, you know, I'm always about the idea. And if I think it and say it, I do it. Whether it works or not is a whole different thing.
That separates the dreamers and the doers.
My kids really appreciate that. And they learn that. You know, they're like, Dad, you say something and all of a sudden 2 weeks later you're doing it. It doesn't make sense. So I start thinking about this whole idea and I'm mulling around with it. And cooking is a major part of my family. I have 2 daughters, 2 son-in-laws. We all cook.
I love that.
Our happy place is in the kitchen, drinking wine, cooking, even to the point, family vacations now, if I'm booking them, I find a house with a kitchen.
Yes.
And I book that so we can all go to that house,
gotta have the space.
take turns cooking. And so that's our happy place. So now I'm start thinking like pickles, if we add flavors to these pickles, they could be more than a condiment, not just the thing you put on the side or you throw in a sandwich. So I have all these ideas. Helena connects with one of her old friends from Canada and we go on a hike with her and her husband.
Okay.
And I share my pickle dilemma with this guy.
Pickle dilemma.
I don't know him. And he's like, yeah, he goes, so I'm from the East Coast of Canada, from Toronto. They have great pickles there. He goes, pickles here suck. So at the end of the day, just haphazardly, I go, you know what, maybe we'll do this together. I don't know this guy from a hole in the wall. And his background is in advertising and branding. He's never owned a business before. But I wake up the next morning and I have this couple of really cool creative ideas about what we talked about. So I call him up and I go, do you want to go in the pickle business? And he's like,
what?
I don't know. He goes, sure.
Why not?
So I said, I heard there's a pickle festival on the Lower East Side of Manhattan next week. I go, I don't know how to make a pickle. I have no idea. So I go, let's go. We'll see. So we fly to New York.
Research.
And I meet like 30 different picklers. And everyone laughs. I go, I don't know if I made that term up. Everyone always laughs. So I meet all these picklers. And I find one 3rd generation guy and I'm sharing this idea of flavors. And he goes, I've done some flavors. He goes, this is cool. He goes, if you want to, he goes, I'll make pickles for you when you're ready. Great.
I love that.
So we fly back to Vancouver. So I don't know if you've been to Vancouver. So they
Mhm.
have a place like the public market we're in called Granville Island.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't know this at the time. Granville Island is the second most visited tourist attraction in all of Canada. It's
Wow.
Niagara Falls and Granville Island.
Wow. I didn't know that.
So the original farmers market where we are now gets 4 million visitors. Granville, 9 million.
My goodness gracious.
So I walk into the office and I don't know anything about this place. And I'm like, we have this idea to do this pickle bar. And I speak to this woman and she's like, oh, that sounds kind of nice.
Mhm.
And she's like, well, we have a farmer's market once a month. You can set up a little table and sell your pickles. And
Mhm.
I went, no. I go, I want to ask you one question. She goes, what? I said, if the first Starbucks opened up here instead of Pike's Market, would you guys have been happy about that? She goes, are you kidding? That would have been amazing. I go, well, think of me as the Starbucks of pickles.
Yes, yes.
So she goes, let me take it to the board.
Okay.
I said, great. So
Makes
she calls
sense.
me up a week later and she goes, they think it's kind of a cool idea. She goes, I need to try your pickles.
Don't
I go,
have any pickles.
okay. I go, I'll get back to you.
No problem.
I call the guy up in New York. I go, how quickly can you make me 3 flavors? He goes, 10 days. I go, we discussed the 3 flavors. I don't even know what they're going to taste like.
Mhm.
I get on a plane. I fly to New York. We try them. Insane. I fill my suitcase with pickles. And I have to pray to the pickle gods because I have to cross an international
Please
border.
don't break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't forget about breaking. I got to get across the border.
Oh, right.
Yeah, with a
Right.
perishable product. Nobody checks. I don't even know how to do this. I don't even say anything. Nobody checked the bag. Sorry.
Thank you.
And I go to this meeting and I'm like, I'm here. And she takes me into a boardroom. Been in a lot of boardrooms, but for clothing, never pickles.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, I'll be back in a second. So she goes to the back door of the conference room, opens the door. 13 people come in, the board. And
They're all
they're
gonna.
all there.
Oh my lord!
So I'm sitting here with these pickles.
Heart rate just spikes. You know.
I'm chopping up the pickles. I'm handing them out. And 10 minutes, they go, we're going to make this work.
Woo!
And I'm
Yes.
like,
I
awesome.
bet that felt awesome.
Awesome. So I come back. For those of you who have not been in a public market, there are permanent stalls. They're like some are kiosks, some look like an actual restaurant. So I go 5 days later. I'm like, which stall's mine? So we can build our pickle bar. And she looks at me and, the market where we are, it's about 10 feet wider. So the aisles are quite substantial.
Yeah.
They're wide. And she points at a table in the middle of the aisle. And I go, excuse me? She goes, look, we're fully occupied.
Yeah.
She goes, you want to build your pickle bar?
Start here.
You got to build there.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm like, so I walk away from this meeting and I'm like, I'm still running this clothing company. And I'm like, there's nothing there. It's a floor. And I'm like, you know what? Like always, I'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to break ground, plumbing, electrical, the whole 9 yards.
Wow. Oh, so you had to build
we had
from
to
the
build
ground
from
up.
ground up. Nothing there.
Oh my gosh.
And we build this place. It's only 138 square feet.
It's so
So
tiny.
you've seen mine. It's
Smaller than this room.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So we get it done and we're going to open February of 2017. Now, the 9 million people that visit this place, maybe 5,000 come in February. It's the deadest time of the year. There are no tourists. So now food logistics, which I knew nothing about, but I knew a lot about clothing logistics, but no one wants to talk to you about a small amount of anything. Doesn't make sense for them.
Yeah.
So I have to buy a pallet of pickles in these 3 flavors, which is nothing in the food world. I got to bring it across the country, get it across a border. It's refrigerated, find a place to store it, and open up this tiny little pickle bar. Figure it out.
Yes. Of course.
So 3 flavors, 6,600 pickles in the first shipment. I figure it out. We open up 6 days, sold out, gone. Everything, all 6,600 gone. So
That
I'm
actually makes me happy.
Oh.
'Cause you know I love pickles.
I
so
know. I'm like-
I'm glad everybody
I'm
likes
like,
them.
well, this is crazy. So we put up a big sign, Vancouver, thank you for loving our pickles. Chris and Scott have gone pickling. We'll be back.
Oh, cute.
3 weeks later, I bring in 2 pallets, 13,000 pickles,
Okay.
10 days.
Gone.
Gone. 10 days. The city is on fire. And I'm like, I know you have a million questions, but you want me to keep going? I love
No,
this
keep
story,
going.
right?
Keep going.
I love telling it. So I'm like, this is crazy. So in 2 years, There's another public market also in Vancouver. We open a second location. We buy a little van. We're self-distributing to 50 restaurants and
Wow.
2 grocery stores, all in Vancouver. Real business now.
Mm-hmm.
So I turn around and I'm like, I'm having fun. This is awesome. I'm like, look, if I'm going to go all in, we need to look in the US because there's just not enough people in Canada. I love Canada, but there's just not enough
Of course,
people there.
yeah, that makes sense.
So I go on a trip up and down the entire West Coast looking at every public market from Pike's Place all the way down to San Diego. And I meet with all these markets and I come back and my wife goes, I need to talk to you. What's up? She goes, I'm going to leave Lulu. She goes, I have an idea for my own business. She said, but I don't know how to run a small business. The smallest company I ever worked for is like $3 billion. She
Right,
goes,
yeah.
I don't know what you do. I don't know how to do that. And she got offered a startup in LA in a C-suite,
Okay.
coming as a chief merchandise officer. So she goes, I want to take this. I'll learn. So I go, LA's just as good as any place else. And I go back to LA and I sit down with Grand Central Market and the original Farmers Market. Grand Central Market had just been purchased by this young guy. He bought the block, big real estate family. We had a great meeting. I loved it. I was still concerned there weren't enough people living downtown yet.
Mm-hmm.
And the original Farmers Market, 90-year history. So we took a space. Same thing happened. So the space I took was a hat store. It had no plumbing,
Oh my
almost no
gosh.
electrical. So
You're like, oh, I've done this before. Here we go.
And I could tell you, as much as I love LA, getting something built here is very difficult.
Yes.
So I got to do the whole thing. I got to knock it down, plumbing, the whole 9 yards. It takes a year to get my 198 square foot pickle bar open. And so we're going to open again, and it's going to be February again. So this is amazing. And same thing happens. It explodes. One of the best openings in the market's 90-year history. I guess at that point, 85-year history. And I'm like, okay, this is it. We're going to be all over the country. The dream's going to come true. I stepped down from my clothing company. I'm all in. February of 2020.
Oh, dun, dun, dun.
So I'm like, oh God.
Now what?
I have to stay open.
Mm-hmm.
I have to. So there's 90 vendors in the original Farmers Market. There's about 9 open. Mm-hmm. And I go to the health department and I go, I want to stay open. I'm essential. And they laugh at me and they go, you sell pickles. You need to close. And again, I go, no. And she goes, what do you mean no?
No.
I said, well, technically I sell cucumbers. Cucumbers are vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Vegetables are essential. I'm a grocer.
Yeah. Okay.
She goes, yeah. She goes, you're right. She goes, you can stay open, but you can't sample.
Okay.
Now, as you know, we have 14 different flavors.
Yeah. Yes.
Shirt. And I'm like, how do I survive? Who does the most sampling? Costco. How do they sample? Little cups.
The little cups.
So I'm like, if I charge, it's not a sample.
Mm-hmm.
So I created a pickle flight.
I loved my pickle flight. Yes.
The original flight was $3, 5 flavors, and you get $2 back if you purchase anything. We're surviving. And there isn't a human being more humbled by what's happened to their business than I am for mine. I'm very passionate about it. But I had people during COVID calling me up and saying, how many pickles do I have to buy this week so you don't close?
Oh, I love that.
It was amazing.
Yeah. So you had so many other people that believed in you as well.
God. That flight, and I share this not to brag so you understand. Last year, we sold 43,000 pickle flights out of that 200 square feet.
Wow.
So, and this is the pinnacle part of everything that happened. The story's almost over. So I come home one day, I'm sitting there, I'm working by myself. I can't have staff. It's COVID. And I'm in there 6 hours a day by myself, double mask, double glove, working with the public, trying to survive. And I go home one day and my wife again goes, I need to talk to you. I go,
You're like, okay.
At this point, she had opened her own company. It was actually doing well during COVID. And she goes, I've seen you succeed. I've seen you fail. I've seen you stressed. I've seen you happy. She goes, I've never seen you unhappy. She said, there's something bothering you that it's starting to physically affect you and you don't realize.
Shout out to wife, you know it.
Oh my God. And this is it. This is what changed everything. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's a global pandemic and I'm standing in a pickle bar by myself. She goes, no, you're still having fun. She goes, think. And I realized that my business partner in Canada, not a bad guy.
Mhm.
I will never say a bad word about him. I was in business with him for 4 years. I didn't even know if he had siblings.
Oh,
I didn't know anything about him.
okay.
I had 30 years of experience. He never owned a company, never respected that. And those things, I didn't think about it. I said we were going to be the Ben and Jerry's of pickles.
Mm.
And he goes, no, we're not. I'm like, what do you mean, no, we're not? He goes, we can't be the brand. The brand has to be bigger than us. And that was like the killing point for me. I'm like, dude, you
Right.
don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
People want to know who's behind a brand.
Yeah.
They love that. So I did a very risky thing financially, emotionally, and I called him up out of the blue. And again, their business, we had a 7-figure business up
Yeah.
there. And I said, I can't do this anymore.
Wow.
I said, I'm going to give you everything. And he goes, what? I said, I'm going to give you the Instagram, the website, the whole Canadian business. I'm
Mhm.
going to walk away.
Yeah.
I just want that booth in LA
Mhm.
and I'm done. I will change the recipes. I will change the name. More power to you.
That's so generous.
Go. Because it was that I realized it was so heavy on me.
Yeah.
Greatest thing I ever did in my life.
Mhm.
And I sat down and said, what do I actually do? Yeah, I sell pickles, but what do I do? I make people happy. This brand makes people happy. The experience makes people happy. So my tagline became happiness in every crunch.
Yes.
And then when we redesigned everything, we brought in colors.
Mhm.
Nobody's ever put colors on a pickle jar before. And then
Well, that's what stood out to me.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then the word pickles and that smile is my Nike swoosh.
Mhm.
Everyone thinks companies called pickles,
Mhm.
actually. I actually own the smile. I don't know the word pickles, but
Yeah.
I own the smile
Mhm.
underneath it. And that was the turning point. And
Amazing.
then what changed everything? This old man knows more about social media than most 15-year-olds now.
It's great. I mean, you got to know.
I mean, I could go through it. I could tell you every point of, we exploded.
Yeah.
Exploded. And that's what really changed the game for us.
That's so amazing.
And to this day, I have an amazing team that does my social, but I work with all the creators. I
Yeah.
communicate with all the creators.
You're very hands-on.
Very hands-on. And I'll tell you out there, people see this, as big as we are, we had 100 million views on the brand last year, never paid somebody to do a post for us, and I still see every DM.
I love that.
Every DM. And I will answer them. I mean, obviously my team answers some, but I see all of them,
Mhm.
and I will continue to do that forever. And this is currently, because it's going to change, but this is the smallest business I've ever had,
Mhm.
the most I've ever worked, by far the happiest.
I love that with the smile and everything. Like, it was so crazy. So real quick, let's talk about how we came into
Yes.
came into seeing each other. So I was at the Grove and walking around. We were at the market, and I was like, pickles. I love pickles. When I was younger, my mom, she used to call me a pickle monster because I could sit and eat a whole jar by myself, and then I would drink the juice. Like, I love the way that it tastes. On my rider, pickles. I always have pickles no matter where I go. It's an easy thing for me as a performer, something that I can eat before I go on stage and something after as well. You know,
Right.
I'm getting the salt back. All those different things. And I've always loved them. So we're walking around and we see the first one where you sell the pickle boats.
Yeah, topped.
And I
the
was
top
like,
bar.
I have to have one of these. So we tried one. We tried the, I think it was the turkey cheese with
The sandwich.
yeah,
The sandwich.
with the hot Cheetos on it.
Yeah.
And then tried the pickled chips with the nacho cheese and the hot Cheetos. And I just was like, why isn't this at every movie theater? Like, it's a perfect thing. It's messy, but it's a perfect
Yep.
thing to eat. And so I loved it. Then we walked over to where the flight was, and my eyes just were so big seeing all the different flavors. And I was like, I got to try these. And you happened to be there that day. They told you that I was
They
there.
said, yep, I
and you
got
came
that
down.
call.
Yes. And you came down and we
Jordan's in the house in my pickle bar.
and we sat down and you brought the flight over, and I did get to try more than just 3 flavors, but it was such a cool experience. You were such a great person. And again, I was happy sitting there eating these pickles, talking to the person who created it. And I just thought it was so cool. And we've been talking about this now for some time.
Yes.
And I was like, I would love to do a collab with you. Like that would be so cool because you mentioned all the people you had worked with and all of the different things. And I got my sweater, which I wear this sweater like almost twice a week, the socks. And it's just been really cool to be able to talk with you. And I'm also inspired by the way that you think. With your ideas, you were just like, I'm going to do it. And that's how I felt. But it was really cool to hear you saying that because I was like, that's kind of how my mindset has always been. There are some things where it's like, I'll talk about it and then it's like, well, I don't quite know how to get there, but I know it's going to happen and it'll happen eventually. Like I always knew I was going to be a singer. It was plan A or plan A. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I did not know it was going to be American Idol. But I knew from like 7 years old that music was what I wanted to do and singing was what I wanted to do. And so there are a few other things that I've done throughout my career. I was like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I figured out a way to do it. And I love that.
That's it's funny. I have a GM who's awesome and he wants to learn all the time. And while we were opening Topped, before it opened, he said, well, what's plan B? And I looked at him and I go, let me tell you something. You can never, ever be an entrepreneur if you ever even think about plan B. I said, you can't go into something saying, well, what if it doesn't work?
Yeah.
If something doesn't work, you figure it out.
You have to believe in it.
But you can never, ever, ever start something with a plan B.
With doubt.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Everybody does things differently. I can't have that in my mind. I know it might work, not work, but I can't. There is no plan B. If I have to figure out a plan B, I'll figure it out afterwards.
When the time comes. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's really true. And I was talking about this with Dana. We've kind of been talking about it for a few weeks now, but how, everybody's like, okay, I want to manifest this or I'm dreaming about this. And you can dream and manifest all you want, but everything responds to you and directly what your energy is doing. Faith without works is dead, right? Like
100%.
you have to move and then everything follows your energy. Where energy goes, energy flows. And so it's definitely a really, your story is one of resilience and courage and taking risks and believing in yourself. And today it's so heavy, the world is on fire and things are just going crazy, but you still have to, if you don't believe in yourself, how is anybody else going to?
And anything's possible. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. And it's not always about the money. I mean,
exactly.
You want to be comfortable. It's nice to be comfortable. Money's great. My older daughter, who's very corporate, she was going through this period of deciding within her company what she was going to do. And I said, look, you have two decisions to make. If you only care about money, that's okay. But understand what you're going to need to do in your life.
Yeah, to maintain
get that
yeah.
success. You're going to step along a lot of people. And that's okay. If that's what your true path is. If you want to really love what you do and care about what you do, the money will come.
Yeah.
But in a different way. And both of those are fine, but you have to understand as a person what you're willing to do and what's more important to you.
Yeah.
Is it just the wealth or is it the journey?
Yeah, exactly. And that part is so important.
Oh,
it's so important.
It's the best part.
Yes, I feel the same way. Like Dana gets irritated with me sometimes because, I'll get offers for jobs and stuff. And I'm like, nope. I can't do that. I might have a couple of extra zeros. And I'm like, my son's game is on Saturday and
I get it.
Your game is not more important than my son's game, So I'm of the like-minded. I want to be happy. I want to be content and I want to be at peace with what I'm doing. The money will come. So
I also want to be surrounded with, that's one of the biggest lessons I learned. I will not do business. I will not spend time with people I don't like.
Right. You want to be about
life
good
is
people.
Too short. And I've made a lot of friends later in life, which is unusual. But I think if you put it out there, I'm not like a super Zen person, but I think you put that energy out there.
It'll come back to you.
It comes back to you with people. Like I know right away when I meet somebody, like honestly in 2 seconds, if I want to break bread with them and they're going to be in my life, or I'm like, oh, okay.
You're like, nice to meet you. Like, okay, that was that. Yeah. No, I feel the same way. And I think honestly, 2020 really showed me that as well. It was like, I really want to be around people who just want to, like for me in music, want to create because they love it. Yeah. Not because they're like, what's the budget? What's this? Again, money is great. But when you're making the art or you're making the pickle or the flavor or whatever it is, like you have to do it because you love it. And then that intention and energy translate and transfers to whoever's listening or whoever's tasting. So it all comes together. But I definitely agree.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
Last question: what makes a perfect pickle?
Crunch.
Crunch.
All about the crunch.
the crunch, the sour, like the tanginess for me. I love a good
mean,
tang.
it's interesting for us because we have so many different
Mhm.
flavors. I'm going to share one thing. I'm going to self-promote on this, but I have to because it's something I never expected in a
Please
million
do.
years. Because I don't think you know this. I have a book coming out. Thank you.
Congratulations.
These characters are from it, actually. This is the evolution of pickles.
Okay.
So I have a recipe book that's on pre-sale right now. It's dropping this summer, and it's and again for
What's it
me,
called?
it's called For the Love of Pickles.
For the Love of Pickles, of course. Why didn't I think of that?
Breakfast, lunch, dinner, entertaining, dessert, and
Yes.
cocktails. And
Yes.
every single recipe has either pickles, pickle brine, or sauerkraut.
Oh, this is right up. Oh, please. I can't wait. DJ's going to get tired of me. He loves pickles too. Congratulations. So they
Thank
can,
you.
I'm sorry, you said it's on
It's on
pre-order.
pre-sale now. You can get it. I mean, Simon & Schuster
Okay.
is doing it. It's from McNeil, and you can get it on Amazon, Target. I mean, it's on all the sites right now.
Great.
But it's just another one of those things in the journey that in a million years I would never have expected to be able to say I did. And I think all these things at the end of the day for me, look, we clicked right away.
We did,
and
yeah.
Your husband too.
Yeah.
And I love that. And that's the greatest wealth for me. And especially in this part of my life is being able to sit here with you and do this. So,
No, it's
thank you.
honestly, it's so great. Thank you. I appreciate that. I felt the same way. We're sitting there. I was like, I really like that guy. He's super cool. And I would love to do a collab with you coming up soon. Who knows? Should we show them? Should we show them one?
We could tease one.
Okay, let's tease one. So we're working on a collaboration, Pickle Monster over here. And he brought one of the jars. Bring it up. Spicy garlic. This is one of DJ's favorites, actually, and one of my favorites because I like things that have a little bit of a kick. And you were like, well, what if we did this? And so this is the one, Jordin spicy garlic, coming soon. You guys will be able to sample it, or taste it, buy it, sample it at, can we say the Grove?
It's the original farmers
The
market
original
by
farmers-
the Grove.
okay, yeah.
So it'll be there, and you'll be able to buy it online.
Online too, which I
We
love
will
that.
ship everywhere in the country.
You do. You absolutely
We do.
I've got like 3 jars in my fridge right now, right now, but I'm so excited. So you guys have to look out for this. I think late spring, maybe early summer.
Pretty soon.
I'm so excited. I'm so grateful that you came here today and for your time. I know you were talking a lot yesterday. So
yeah, I'm so happy I made it through.
You made it through. You made it through. Actually, you know what? You answered pretty much all the questions I had for you in your story. So it was perfect.
You know what? When people interview me, I say I'm one of those people. If I would usually warn them, I didn't warn you. Ask me 2 questions and I'll talk for an hour.
Just go. I'm similar, actually. I have 2 last questions.
You could ask me whatever.
So you've built and you've shifted and you've started over and you've started again. Through it all, what has kept your heart in it? And what do you love most about what you do today?
What I love most, that's easy. I spend my entire day and my entire business does absolutely nothing, as I said, but make people happy.
Yeah.
That's the whole premise of it.
Mhm.
It's all about the experience. For me, I've shared this recently. People stop me, send me a message and say, oh my God, I went to your pickle tasting bar. Your staff was amazing.
They are great.
That to me is better than someone saying I have the best pickle in the world.
Mhm.
You know, I remember, what a great experience. Oh, thank you for reaching out. You were there. You took time to talk to me. So that's my love. I mean, I am all about passion. My whole life is about passion, and
I can tell.
This is just the journey's just started actually in all of it. So yeah, I mean, it's just about being able to be conscious in the journey that I'm going on.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, so then I guess this kind of ties into what you said. I ask everybody, what's your spark? So I feel like that might be
That is
it.
my spark.
Yeah.
That is my
Making
spark.
people happy, the
That's-
experience and everything.
Yeah.
I love that so much. And it's so true. They're an extension of you. Your staff and it is an extension
100%.
of you and who you are. And so when they can be that way and you get that response, it's almost like it was you.
This whole thing's crazy for me,
Mhm.
because of social media and doing things like this. I say I am a very D-list celebrity. And my kids laugh because I get stopped a lot because a lot of kids see me too
Yeah,
on
yeah.
TikTok and Instagram. And it's like, I'm not trying to be famous. I didn't do any of this to be famous. It's
course.
all about my brand.
Yeah.
But I'm so just humbled. I think that's probably the word more than anything. I'm just so unbelievable thankful and humbled that at this stage in my life, to be able to have pivoted and to have had so many great other things I did, but to be able to spend every day, and it's crazy, but I'm still happy at the end of every day. It makes me feel good to be able to bring joy to people.
Yeah, well, and you can
Truthfully.
tell, like, oh, it's just so great. I'm happy to know you. I'm
Oh,
so happy that this
right back at you.
thank you. I'm so happy that this started again. But your story is such a reminder that like purpose isn't always a straight line, right? It evolves.
It's definitely not a straight.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a straight line is.
Exactly. It evolves. It surprises us, and sometimes it shows up in the most unexpected of places, even in a jar of pickles, right? Even in a jar of pickles. To everybody listening, don't be afraid to grow, to pivot, to trust what's meant for you, and trusting that it will find you as well, even if it looks different than you imagine, or if it tastes a little bit tangier, sour than you imagined. Thank you guys so much for being with us today. Please share this if you enjoyed it. Make sure if you are in the LA area to go to the Original Farmers Market, check out Topton, check out Kaylin and Kaylin Pickles. They are delicious. And I'll see you guys next week on What's Your Spark?